It's funny. People will say, oh, I love Spider-Man because he shows his more human side, which makes him relatable to a lot of people. And then when media does show his more human side, people like to bitch and complain about it. I get very heated about this because it's not rocket science. It's right there in front of you, and people just choose to ignore it or don't pay attention at all. Must I spell it out for you, even though it's right there in front of you in the game? First of all, Peter lost Aunt May. Not only did he lose Aunt May, but he had to choose between saving the city and saving his aunt. Right after he found out that she knew he was Spider-Man. He's still beating himself up for it. He still thinks it's his fault. He can't keep her house afloat. He can't keep a stable job. He doesn't have time to spend with MJ. Why can't he do all these things? Because he feels a huge responsibility to New York City. And if he can't be Spider-Man, the city won't be safe. This is something Yuri Lowenthal says that I 100% agree with. He says Spider-Man's greatest villain is Uncle Ben. Because Uncle Ben said with great power there must also come great responsibility. And he didn't mean it in any kind of way. But Peter took that as, it's my job to protect the city, otherwise it will never be protected. So he feels like the whole city is on his shoulders. Then to add on top of all of that, Harry comes back after 2 years. And they get to reminisce, but then when Peter gets the symbiote, Harry's getting sick again. So he's going to die. And that's another stress in Peter's life. So he has all these things, plus the symbiote being like, you don't actually have to give us back. We make you a better Spider-Man. So that is presenting its own mental struggles, as evidenced by
All I wanted was to save everyone.
Triangle button, circle
MJ,
button, finisher.
May.
Triangle button,
Now
circle
the
button,
city
finisher.
thinks that I'm the
Triangle
problem,
button, circle button, finisher.
You think I'm the
Triangle
problem?
button, circle
but
button,
I'm
finisher.
not anymore.
I'm the solution.
the symbiote is making Peter think that them together is the solution for saving the city, but it's not. And rationally, I think Peter knows that, because when Miles tried to talk some sense into him, he started to break through. He was like, I know, but... And then the symbiote happened again. After he gets the symbiote off finally, he calls Dr. Connors, and Connors is like, one more thing before we meet. Now that the symbiote is off of you, how do you feel? And, Peter says, fine, ashamed of what I did, relieved that it's over. And Dr. Connors is like, it's not your fault. There's still so much we don't know. Just let me know if you experience any changes in your mood or behavior or anything like that. And he could still have some lingering symptoms. Then, right before you go to Aunt May's house, when Harry's there with MJ, Dr. Connors calls again and asks if Peter is experiencing fatigue and soreness and aches and pains and things like that. Peter says yes, and that's when Connors talks about the symptoms and the hive mind Peter was in, and it's still affecting him even though the symbiote is off because he had it on for too long. And that's a big reason why Peter is not at his best. The other reasons being literally everything I mentioned earlier, before all the symbiote stuff. And if anyone says anything about the fridge, I swear to God, it's basically the explanation I just gave. Everything piled up, including the symbiote symptoms. Peter's human life is not going great right now. That's why he's taking a break. He needs to reset himself. He went through all that in 2 years, and we don't know what he went through his other 8 years as Spider-Man. He's been Spider-Man for 10 years. My man deserves a break. Was I upset at first, the very first time I finished the game? Yes, I was, and I was kind of mad because, your first gut reaction is, great, now Peter's not gonna be in the next game. I'm not gonna play the next game. That's what I said to my friend, because he was watching me play, and he was like, no, you will. You're just upset. And I thought for a second, and I'm like, yeah, I am upset. But I understand. Like, it took me a few hours, but then later that night, I thought basically what I just said. He's been Spider-Man for 10 years, and all this bullshit happened only in the last 2 years. So, yeah, he deserves a break. And he is coming back because, Green Goblin. And then that credit scene happened with Doc Ock. I'm not even kidding. I was crying through that first credit song because I was upset that I, bummed that the game was over, and crying because I was sad that Peter's taking a break and all the stuff with Harry and everything. When Otto showed up, my tears, it was like SpongeBob going, they were just gone. And when I tell you how loud I screamed, I didn't even know it was Otto by his voice. I knew it by the theme, because we didn't have audio description when the game first came out. And I was so happy just hearing 2 notes of his theme. I screamed so loud. That completely changed my mood. But anyway, that is why Peter is the way he is in Spider-Man 2. Mental health is a real thing, and when you're not at your best, you won't perform as well as you normally do physically and mentally. And that is exactly what Peter's going throughout this entire game. One lesson I have to use from this game literally every day is I have to remind myself one thing at a time, because I get overwhelmed when I have so many things to do at once. So I'll take a deep breath and remind myself one thing at a time. Like, these are good lessons and a good depiction of mental health struggles. Why is that a bad thing? I'm gonna do what Yuri did with Andrew Garfield. Leave Peter alone. Leave him alone. Let my man live his life, rebuild the Emily May Foundation, and give himself a reset. Leave my favorite Spider-Man alone.